Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. In a major breakthrough, India-China LAC disengagement is completed. Patrolling to begin soon. Israel's army chief vows to hit back if Iran retaliates. The US says that the UN relief agency, UNRWA, the ban on it could have consequences under US law. Early voting is underway in the key swing state of Georgia. Voters say that they trust the process with 1 week left until the US presidential election. And sporting CP coach Ruben Amorim, tight-lipped on becoming the next manager of Manchester United, the 39-year-old emerges as a front-runner for the job after Ten Hag's sacking. And some good news that's coming in ahead of Diwali. A major breakthrough in the India-China LAC disengagement has taken place. According to defense sources, disengagement between India and China is now complete at Depsang as well as Demchok. A verification process is underway, and India and Chinese army will be exchanging sweets at the LAC tomorrow on Diwali. Ground commanders from both sides meet regularly, and border patrolling will start soon. And DD India correspondent Vishal Barristow now joins us with more on this story. Vishal, how long is the verification process expected to take?
Well, a very good evening to you, Mark. The verification process is quite difficult, and let me tell you that there are some tracks that you have to manually track for 6 to 8 hours. So the UAVs are also being involved, and the aerial verification is also being taken in. And this would be done by the ground commanders, and that includes the officer rank of brigadier and below. So we are expecting that by end of this month, the verification would be complete. That means in another 48 hours more maximum, the verification would be complete. And then the patrolling would start, and this is armed patrolling. And it is a great news coming from Depsang and Demchok, because a lot of consultations have gone through both at the military level and also at the diplomatic level. And the breakthrough started with Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the meetings at BRICS. And finally, the Chinese have been convinced that they need to withdraw. And it would give access to India forces to go to the April 2020 position, and it also would give India the access to patrolling points in Depsang, which includes a patrolling point number 11, number 12, 13 and 14. And in Demchok, it would also give access along the LAC near the Nala. So it is a very good news, especially on the eve of Diwali, and the shepherds would also get access to the grazing grounds. And tomorrow, which is the biggest festival of India, both sides would exchange sweets at the LAC. And meanwhile, let me tell you that there are other points as well, not only in Ladakh, but also in Arunachal Pradesh. For that, the talks are on. But as of now, Depsang and Demchok, it's a great news coming on the eve of Diwali. Mark?
Right. Also, Vishal, you did mention that there is access provided at various points. But, you know, what happens next? Explain to us a little bit about the type of border patrolling that will take place after the disengagement, and what level of contact the two sides will have.
Well, Mark, we need to first understand why this verification is required, because according to defense sources, the structures that were built at the disputed points were more on the Chinese side, and some were in rather a sort of permanent, semi-permanent structures. So they need to be removed. The vehicles have to be taken off. Now this disengagement is complete. But first, the verification has to be done by the ground commanders on both sides, and this includes physical verification and also aerial verification. So once the verification is complete, then the ground patrolling would start, and for this, both sides will have to inform the other side prior to the patrolling. Okay. So this is the process, and the talks are on, continuously on, and the ground commanders would be telling us when the patrolling would start. And as I informed you, the ground commanders include the officer rank of brigadier and below.
Thank you very much, Vishal Barrister, for putting us in the know as far as this is concerned. Now, moving on to our next story, the United States has expressed concern about the loss of lives in an Israeli strike on a residential building in northern Gaza. At least 93 people were dead and several reported missing after a strike hit Beit Lahia city on Tuesday. The Israeli military has been operating in northern Gaza in recent days, targeting Hamas. The Israeli military acknowledged reports of civilians harmed in the airstrike, stating that the details of the incident were under investigation. The U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that U.S. officials had reached out to the government of Israel to ask what happened, adding that he could not speak about the total death toll.
We are deeply concerned by the loss of civilian life in this incident. We have reached out to the government of Israel to ask what happened here, and Israel has decimated Hamas's military capabilities. And all of that, getting to here, came at great cost to civilians in Gaza, which is, of course, often the case when civilians are caught in the crossfire in conflict. And it is another reminder of why we need to see an end to this war.
The United States Department of State said on Tuesday that Israel's decision to ban the UN relief agency UNRWA could have consequences under U.S. law. Now, a law passed by Israel on Monday to ban the UN Palestine Refugee Agency from operating inside Israel has raised concerns about the ability to provide relief in Gaza after over a year of the war. The agency, which employs thousands of people in Gaza, provides nearly the entire population of the coastal enclave with basic supplies and needs access through Israel.
We are deeply troubled by this legislation. It could shutter UNRWA operations in the West Bank, in Gaza, in East Jerusalem. There could be consequences under U.S. law and U.S. policy for the implementation of this legislation. We are going to engage with the government of Israel in the days ahead about how they plan to implement it.
Well, meanwhile, in Lebanon, Hezbollah has named Naim Qassem as its new leader, but Israel said his tenure would be temporary, an apparent threat after it killed his predecessor Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut over a month ago. Qassem was appointed as Hezbollah's deputy chief in 1991 by the group's then Secretary General Abbas al-Musawi, who was killed by an Israeli helicopter attack the following year. Qassem remained in his role when Nasrallah became leader and has long been one of Hezbollah's leading spokesmen. Since Nasrallah's killing, Qassem has given 3 televised addresses, including one on October 8, in which he said he supported efforts to reach a ceasefire for Lebanon. Israel continued its campaign against Hezbollah with new strikes in southern Lebanon. Plumes of smoke were visible from Lebanon's Maria Yun. This is as Israeli strikes hit the outskirts of Kiam village near the border with Israel on Tuesday. Cross-border fighting between Israel and Hezbollah began a year ago when the group started firing rockets in support of Gaza's Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. At the beginning of October, Israel launched a ground operation within Lebanon to attempt to stabilize the border area for Israeli citizens who had fled rockets in northern Israel. Also, Israel's military chief has warned Iran to stand down from any retaliation for Israel's airstrikes near Tehran last week, which followed an Iranian missile barrage on October 1.
If Iran makes the mistake of launching another missile barrage at Israel, we will once again know how to reach Iran. with capabilities that we did not even use this time and strike very, very hard at both their capabilities and locations that we set aside for now.
עוד השארנו בצד. עשינו.
Well, Russia launched an overnight airstrike on Ukraine's Kiev on Wednesday, injuring at least 9 people. Russia struck the region with 62 drones, out of which Ukraine's air defense units destroyed 33. The drone debris, it caused a fire in a multi-story apartment building. Firefighters evacuated 19 people from the flats in an apartment building with several windows blown out. This is the 19th air attack on Kiev in October. Meanwhile, Russia's air defense units destroyed 23 drones launched in a Ukrainian overnight airstrike. Amid the hectic electioneering underway all across the United States, DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh speaks to a first-time voter about what he expects from these presidential elections. Let's listen.
We are in Atlanta. This is the key swing state of Georgia. I have with me a first-time voter, Issikor, who's here with us. Issikor, you cast your ballot for the first time. What was the experience like?
It was pretty easy. You get a card, you put it in the machine, tap a couple boxes on a tablet, and then you're done. It prints out your paper, you put it in the ballot machine. That's it.
First-time vote, hugely important. How did you go about deciding who to choose, what research, what work went into that?
It's really hard to do your research because a lot of the news sources and information sources are really biased right now. You have Twitter, you have other social medias, and you have news outlets which are more entertainment than fact now. So it's really hard to get the full picture.
And Issikor, finally, there's so many issues at the heart of these elections. What one issue mattered to you the most when you cast your very first ballot?
A lot of the issues that mattered to me the most were ones where it shouldn't have been an issue, like abortion rights. I don't think that anyone should be able to control someone else's, if they're having a baby or not, because that's a lot of trouble to go through. It's a lot of pain. It could put your life at risk. It could put your well-being at risk. If you're not prepared to have it, then you should have every right to not have it.
Issikor, thank you very much for speaking with DD India. That was first-time voter here in Atlanta talking about his experience and the issues at the heart of these crucial presidential elections. With camera person Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Atlanta.
Well, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Super typhoon Congre is likely to make landfall in Taiwan on Thursday. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goel is looking for new areas of business cooperation with Saudi Arabia. We pay tribute to Homi Baba, the father of India's nuclear program, on his birth anniversary. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Prime Minister Narendra Modi met last week to discuss several agreements aimed at enhancing cooperation between the two countries. One of the agreements is centered on increasing the amount of skilled workers coming from India to Germany. Joining us now with more on this topic is DW correspondent Emily Leschner, who's joining us from Berlin. Emily, thank you for being with us. What kind of labor deal did Scholz and Modi agree on?
Germany agreed to increase the number of visas granted annually to skilled Indian workers to 90,000. That's more than 4 times the current number, which is around 20,000. Scholz also pledged to do 2 key things, to make the process easier for Indian workers. One was to reduce the bureaucracy of the application process, and the other is make it easier to recognize professional qualifications earned in India. Right now, there are around 250,000 Indian workers living in Germany, many of whom are employed in the sectors where there is serious labor scarcity in IT, engineering, nursing care, and medicine.
Well, Emily, it's not just workers who are flocking to Germany. There are students also. There's been an increase in the number of students. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, that's right. In the last 10 years alone, there's been an estimated 5-fold increase in Indian students coming to Germany to study. And students that Deutsche Welle spoke with said that the reasons are because tuition is considerably cheap and the universities here have a good reputation internationally. And those are reasons that make it attractive to come here to study. But you can also point to Germany's recent Skilled Immigration Act as one of the drivers of this increase in number. This piece of legislation made it easier for international students to work while studying. It doubled the amount of hours they can work from 10 to 20. And many students aren't able to rely on their family abroad to pay their expenses while they're in Germany. So this has certainly helped. And these are small changes that can make a big impact on Germany's ability to bring in the workers that it desperately needs. The German government hopes that it will help create a pipeline of workers to fill the hundreds of thousands of job vacancies. Students who have navigated the German university system and the job search will be able to jump into the labor market here much more easily.
And finally, Emily, from the German point of view, what else came out of these talks last week?
Well, Scholz and Modi reached 27 individual agreements, many of which aim to increase cooperation economically and in the sphere of defense. One is an intelligence arrangement that permits authorities and businesses to exchange sensitive information with each other. Germany has also offered to help India modernize its military, not only so it can reduce dependency on Russian weapons, which make up most of its arsenal, but also to better be able to protect Indo-Pacific trade routes as China makes upgrades to its own defense capabilities. Germany is building 6 new submarines for India's Navy, and all in all, these agreements show a strong willingness on both sides to bolster bilateral relations.
Emily Leschner in Berlin, thanks very much. Well, Super Typhoon Congre is expected to make landfall in Taiwan on Thursday after heavy rain and strong winds lashed the island. Storm with winds of up to 300 kilometers per hour strengthened into the super typhoon on Wednesday, and authorities now have warned the southeastern city of Taitung they could face landslides triggered by the typhoon. The president of Taiwan, Lai Ching-te, has urged people to stay away from the mountains as well as from the coasts. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Gujarat from today. On a 2-day visit, the Prime Minister will inaugurate and he'll also lay the foundation stone of various infrastructural and development projects in Ekta Nagar this evening. The Prime Minister will also offer floral tributes at the Statue of Unity, which will be followed by the Rashtriya Ekta Divas celebration, which will take place on the 31st of October, tomorrow.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Gujarat on the 30th and the 31st of October. During this visit, he will travel to Ekta Nagar, Kevadia, where he will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of various infrastructural and development projects worth over 280 crore rupees.
The phase 1 of this particular walkway and a fully about 1 kilometer completely shaded walkway will be inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister tomorrow. Apart from that, we realize that our buses are air conditioned, which are free. But when a high-end tour, anybody comes here, to give them a better experience, we are having smart bus stops which will be air conditioned. So a tourist now can, after visiting the attraction, rest in these are going to be big air-conditioned bus stops. They can rest there, and then as per their convenience, they can board the bus, go to the next attraction. So constantly we are working on that.
Prime Minister Modi will also address the officer trainees of the 99th Common Foundation course in Amorim 6.0. The theme for this year's program is Road for Atmanirbhar and Viksit Bharat.
The area around the tallest statue in the world has seen unprecedented growth in the past few years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has time and again brought in developmental projects that aim to enhance tourist experience, sustainability as well as accessibility. Not only this, a number of attractions are also added to the already existing attractions so that it grabs more eyeballs from tourists across the globe.
Tourists also participated in the world-class facilities at the Statue of Unity and paid tribute to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
This is a wonderful experience. We came to know a lot about Sardarji Patel. Other experiences are marvelous. It is one of the greatest work in the world.
It was really great, and I especially loved about the way we get to know about the statue.
The region has also garnered a lot of interest by private planes who are opening up malls, showrooms, shops, restaurants and hotels in the nearby areas.
We have certain projects which the stone laying is going to happen. Soon there is here there is going to be a hospitality district. It's going to be a big zone where big hotels might come up in the future.
On 31st of October, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will offer floral tribute at the Statue of Unity, which will be followed by Rashtriya Ekta Divas celebrations. The Unity Parade will comprise of 16 marching contingents from 9 states and 1 Union Territory Police, 4 Central Armed Police Forces, NCC, and a marching band. Hell March contingent of the NSG, the Daredevil Show by BSF and CRPF women and men bikers will be special attractions at this Unity Parade. Meghna Dev's report for DD India.
India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goel is visiting Saudi Arabia to explore new avenues of business cooperation. Now, during the visit, Piyush Goel inaugurated the Luluwali Diwali, which is at the Lulu hypermarket in Riyadh. Wishing Diwali to everybody, good wishes for Diwali. He highlighted the role of the Indian diaspora in preserving the country's traditions and enriching Saudi Arabia's cultural landscape. The minister also said that the celebration strengthens the bond between India and Saudi Arabia. Piyush Goel is participating in the 8th edition of the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh. He held a meeting with Peter Herweck, who is the CEO of Schneider Electric, as well as a global company specializing in energy management and digital automation with a strong presence in India. Piyush Goel discussed the company's investment plans for India and how it can leverage the nation's talent pool, as well as government support to provide high-tech, sustainable, as well as energy-efficient solutions to the world. Piyush Goel also met William Ford, the chairman and CEO of the global growth investment firm General Atlantic. They discussed the company's potential to collaborate with India's healthcare sector, especially in the consumer-focused health enterprises. Additionally, they explored potential for expansion of their investment in global capability centers, as well as various other sectors in the country. The birthplace of Lord Ram, Ayodhya, has come alive to the 8th Deep Utsav celebrations with a grand procession organized to mark the occasion on Wednesday. Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, the Union Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, the Deputy Chief Minister Brajesh Pathak, they applied tilak on the forehead of the artists who were enacting the roles of Lord Ram, Lakshman. And they also moved, as they moved in fact through the streets, devotees captured those powerful scenes on their phones, while fireworks and colorful gulal filled the air. Ahead of Ladakh's Foundation Day, which is celebrated on the 31st of October, the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, on Wednesday witnessed a cultural performance by the artists of Ladakh. The Union Territory will celebrate its 6th Union Territory Foundation Day on Thursday. People will celebrate the day with an event featuring exhibitions, performances and food stalls at Eco Park in Leh. Now our tribute to the renowned Indian nuclear physicist Homi Bhabha. Homi Bhabha was born on this day in 1909 and he is known as the father of the Indian nuclear program. This report explores the multifaceted personality of Homi Bhabha.
May 18th, 1974 is a historic date when India successfully conducted its first nuclear test in Pokhran, known as Smiling Buddha. This event marked India as the first nation to perform a nuclear test outside the UN Security Council. Homi Jahangir Bhabha, the father of the Indian nuclear program, was pivotal in this journey. Born on October 30, 1909 in Mumbai, Bhabha excelled academically and studied engineering at Cambridge. Returning to India in 1939, he joined the Indian Institute of Science and laid the groundwork for India's nuclear aspirations. In 1945, Bhabha established the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, emphasizing the need for technical knowledge to advance nuclear energy in India. His vision led to the formation of the Atomic Energy Commission in 1948, and he oversaw the creation of India's first nuclear reactor, Apsara, in 1956. Bhabha's contributions were recognized internationally, earning him numerous awards, including the Padma Bhushan. After his untimely death, the Atomic Energy Establishment was renamed the Bhabha Atomic Research Center in his honor in 1967. Today, India's nuclear energy capacity stands at 8,180 megawatts, expected to triple by 2031-32. Bhabha's relentless pursuit of scientific progress has established India as a nuclear-capable nation, and his legacy continues to inspire generations to come. Bureau Report, DD India.
That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from across India and the world on the DD India mobile app. The app's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.